morning. It is the 29th of October, 2023. Got about an hour here I can spend, so I'm going to make my first attempt at replacing those square nuts in the dash assembly that support the steering column. So we'll see how I do on that. So just as a reminder, you can see right there in the middle where the first one is, I'm just going to take a small screwdriver and try to pry up on it. It's not attached all the way around, so I should be able to just lift this up. So I'm going to work on doing that, and I need both hands for that, so we'll see how I do. Alright, so far things look pretty good. I've got the first one in place. I put the bolt through it too, just to make sure this is going to work right. What's interesting is that as I was fiddling with this, the square nut actually fell through the slot on the bottom, which tells me that it may have been possible to put these new square nuts in there without tearing this whole dash apart. The only problem with that, though, is that the cages that hold these things in place were loose and whatnot and out of whack, so I don't feel too bad about doing all this extra work to get the dash apart. I think that was still important, even if it turns out I can actually put the square nuts in from underneath. So we'll do, one is done, and I got the other one to do. All right, I think I've got these locked pretty well in place now with the nuts, square nuts. I used a couple of punches and whatnot to kind of move the cages so they're semi-tight around the nuts, not so tight that they won't move, because these are meant to slide back and forth for adjusting when you're putting in the steering column. They need to adjust a little bit, slide. So I'm going to start reassembling this dash now and see how that goes. I just decided to make a strategic decision just because it makes sense as I'm looking behind all the hoses and wires, just checking if everything looks okay. It dawns on me that, man, it's so much easier now to reach the holes where the brake master, where the brake booster will go when I put it back in. So I think what I'm going to do is just leave this sitting like it is. There's no point in really putting all this back together now when I have such nice access to things behind the dash, under the dash that I need to get to. So I think for now I'm just going to leave this sitting like it is. I've been successful as far as preparing the square nuts to hold the steering column back up. So in that regard, I'm happy. So I'm just going to leave that for now and move on to other things. I've got a couple light bulbs to replace, and that's going to do it for today.